is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. He's been missing for almost 3 weeks. Yesterday, the body of 14-year-old Reynaldo de Guzman was found floating in a creek in the town of Gapan in Nueva Ecija. It bore 31 stab wounds. De Guzman was last seen alive on August 18, hanging out with his friend, 19-year-old Carl Angelo Arnaiz. That same night, Arnaiz was killed by Caloocan policemen for allegedly holding up a taxi driver and then shooting it out with them. The police chief of Gapan and Nueva Ecija reveals 31 stab wounds were found in the body of 14-year-old Reynaldo de Guzman. Superintendent Peter Madria tells CNN Philippines there were no other marks on the corpse, but based on an initial investigation, the boy died just recently. An autopsy will be conducted.
Ito pong biktima na kilala po ng tatay kanina lang 1 hour ago na in-identify niya na ito nga po yung nawawala na bata. So isasubject po natin sa autopsy yung bangkay after po na maimbestigahan po namin yung magulang.
May estimate po ba kayo, Superintendent, kung gaano katagal yung proseso bago malaman yung resulta ng autopsiya?
Depende po kasi sa magkakandak po ng autopsy. So ngayon, ipaprocess pa lang po namin para po makakapagkandak ng autopsy.
Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre ordered the National Bureau of Investigation to look into De Guzman's death. President Rodrigo Duterte reminds the police and the military they should not kill defenseless persons. Mr. Duterte adds he will not tolerate killings beyond the performance of duty. Here's the president in his own words.
And you do not kill defenseless persons. I'm sorry, but I will pursue the cases against the police, and if need be, they should go to jail. Wala akong inutos na patayin mo yung bata o matanda, and even the enemy on bended knees. That is not the norm nor the rule of a democracy.
In other news, the last remaining left-leaning member of the Duterte cabinet is out. The powerful Commission on Appointments adopted a vote of its Agrarian Reform Committee to reject Rafael Mariano's appointment as Agrarian Reform Secretary. Mariano endured hours of committee deliberations where some 10 oppositors raked him over the coals. Cecil Lardizabal tells us how Mariano lost his post.
Supporters gather outside the gates of the Senate demanding the confirmation of Rafael Mariano as Agrarian Reform Secretary. In the hearing inside, members of the Commission on Appointments hurl tough questions at the former head of the Kilusang Magbubukid ng Pilipinas. Senator Loren Legarda asks Mariano if he supports armed struggle against the government.
Tinitiyak ko po sa inyo na andar at ako po ay hindi ako nag-advocate, hindi po ako nag-endorso, hindi po sumusuporta sa mga illegal na activities.
Congresswoman Josephine Ramirez Sato takes a jab. She asks Mariano what he thinks of the government's agrarian reform program.
Bago daw po kayo naging sekretaryo ng DAR, nagpahayag daw po kayo na ang CARP ay huwad.
Meron pong mga inherent flaws, loopholes or limitations o imperfections. Kung yon ang magiging kabuuan ng pakahulugan na huwad.
She wanted to know why Mariano ordered a review of all land conversion grants from 1988 to June 30, 2016.
Ayan po naman ay may tungkulin po talaga, lalo na yung paro po natin, na i-monitor po ang status ng lahat ng conversion
hindi
orders.
Naman, kung 1988 pa yung conversion order, tapos bigla nating hahalikwatin para i-review, hindi po ba lalong makakagulo yan sa implementasyon?
She then reads this joint resolution of the Region 11 Development Council on the alleged involvement of some government officials, including Mariano, in separate NPA attacks in Davao City and Davao del Norte on April 29th this year. This issue was raised twice, and Mariano denied it.
Wala po akong partisipasyon doon sa sinasabi nilang planning ng mga pagpaplano ng mga insidente na ganap po sa area po ng plantasyon ng Lapanday.
With 24 endorsements versus 11 oppositors and 1 joint resolution, members of the Commission on Appointments weighed in on their secret votes.
Therefore, it is with a heavy heart that I respectfully submit the result of the voting of your committee, which resulted in a minimum of 13 votes against the confirmation of the ad interim appointment of Mr. Rafael Capaeng Vitriolo Mariano.
Accepting his fate, Mariano vows to continue his fight for farmers. Cecil Ardizabal, CNN Philippines.
Here are the top stories from around the world. Russian President Vladimir Putin warns that with the escalating crisis over North Korea's weapons program, a global catastrophe with mass casualties may develop. Speaking in China on Tuesday, Putin cautioned against military hysteria, saying the only way to resolve the crisis was through diplomacy. He adds that while Russia condemns Pyongyang's latest actions, imposing any kind of sanctions would be useless and ineffective. Many across the United States protesting the White House's decision to end the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Program, or DACA. The program provided legal status for undocumented immigrants who entered the U.S. as children. And now U.S. President Donald Trump is leaving it to Congress to come up with a plan over the next 6 months. The program is protecting about 800,000 so-called dreamers from deportation. Hurricane Irma hits the Caribbean island of Barbuda. Forecasters warn the now Category 5 storm is potentially catastrophic, with heavy rainfall and strong winds expected to cause massive flooding and storm surges. It's threatening to plow into several islands, including Antigua, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico by Wednesday. And after that, it may head for the U.S. mainland, with chances of direct impact increasing for the state of Florida. Irma has become one of the strongest storms recorded in the Atlantic. Transgender singer Jake Cyrus says he's happier after transitioning to a new persona. In an interview with our Christine Jacob Sandejas, Jake reveals the significance of the identity change.
Ang gaan na ng feeling ko. Sobrang masaya lang. Wala nang any walls. Para sa amin na transgender, parang important sa amin yung pangalan na talagang gusto talaga namin para sa amin. And yung pangalan na yan, actually, bata pa ako. Hindi pa lang Jake. Pero ang dami ko naiisip dati ng mga names na talaga gusto ko. I realized that I was different. Naisip ko na parang hindi ako to. I was 5. And when, nung time na yun, pag naglalaro kami, I remember may mga different names pa akong na ginagamit sila. Even my brother, actually, na ano niya ako na, oh, ito pangalan mo, ganyan. So, yes. So, nung
Hindi ka na-offend? Parang okay lang sa'yo
No, it was actually, parang nung time na yun, nung na-feel ko yun, mas tama. Yung feeling na it felt right. Na parang bakit ganun? Pag sinasabi ko yung name na yun para sa akin, yun yung gusto ko. So, when I changed my screen name, it's not because hindi lang yung singer ka, ganyan. Para sa akin kasi important yun as a isa sa magpapakompleto sa'yo.
And before we go back in May, we gave you the story of the jeepney that offers free karaoke on board. And now that same jeepney is getting an upgrade and has more in store for its passengers. It's traveling around the Sucat area in Parañaque. Singing with a karaoke machine can still make your trip free of charge. But now the Jeep is equipped with a security camera, so you can never escape from paying the driver in case you don't want to belt out a tune or two. It also has internet connection, so you can surf the web during your trip. Netizen Mar Fernandez posted this story on Facebook. It was shared over 42,000 times and gained more than 30,000 reactions. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for your time. I'm Pia Hontiveros. See you again tomorrow for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.